Today in class, we are going to annotate our text. When you annotate, you use a tool to indicate certain things about a text. You should have finished reading chapter 1 by now. That was our homework over the weekend to finish that up. And in class last week, we picked a few topics that we thought might be good for highlighting. So, what you need to make sure is open up your annotation text, and when you open it up, at the very top, there should be a legend. A legend is a guide to help understand annotation, in this case, annotation in our text. We're working toward a theme, and the way that we're going to work toward a theme is we're going to start with topics. So, what you're going to do is you're going to choose two topics from the list. So, you see that I have chosen the topics of one, death, and two, the effects of war. So, what I'm going to do now is every place that I find an interesting quote from the text, so some part of the text that indicates something about death to me, I'm going to highlight it this pink purple color. And whenever I find something that seems to indicate to me something about the effects of war on the characters in the story, I'm going to highlight that bright blue color or that turquoise color. So you see here in this very first quote, the one that we've been using to kind of understand what the author wants to do in this text, we've highlighted using these colors. So the first color is the purple color, and you notice that I highlighted death is not an adventure to those who stand face to face with it. Well, this seems almost like a direct statement that will help you to identify what the author thinks about death because he's giving us his synopsis or his reason for writing the story here. The other one that I highlighted, I feel like connects with the blue, which is effects of war. They may have escaped shells, were destroyed by the war. So you see that even though some of the soldiers didn't die, they were still ruined by the war. So these are two ideas that the author gives us even before the story starts. And they will help us also think about this chapter and these. So I began to read the text and I go through. First of all, it kind of starts out with a description of this character. And then I find in here that it says, last night we settled down to get a good night's sleep. Kaczynski is right when he says it was not such a bad war if only we could get more sleep. In the line, we had next to none. 14 days is a long stretch. I'm going to highlight this because this is kind of interesting. This has something to do with what it's like to be at war, right? The effects of war. Possibly they're not getting very good sleep. 14 days without sleep seems like a pretty major amount. So it may or may not be useful to me later when I'm thinking about theme, but still, it does seem to have to do with things that are about the effects of war.